Imagine robbing a bank, right? Like a bank with $12 billion.
That is quite the payout.
Right. But you don't use dynamite. You don't, even need a getaway car. All you do is basically just change a label on a shipping container.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but that is exactly what is happening.
Exactly. So welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. We are looking at this really comprehensive 2026 essay on how Mexican cartels have essentially turned customs paperwork into like one of the biggest heists in the world.
It is truly fascinating. They call it fiscal huachicol, or tax fuel theft.
Yeah, because we usually picture fuel theft as like guys tapping into pipelines in the middle of the night, right?
Right, the traditional image.
Mm.
But this has evolved into this massive white-collar customs fraud at major ports like Veracruz and Altamira. They have basically traded the drill for a keyboard.
A keyboard and some fake paperwork. It really is a masterclass in exploiting bureaucratic loopholes.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And the sheer volume of fuel they're moving is just staggering. I mean, if you look at the data gap,
Yeah, that gap is hard to wrap my head around. The essay mentions this massive discrepancy between U.S. export data and Mexico's import data.
right, so the U.S. Energy Information Administration tracks what it sends south. But when you compare that to the imports recorded by Mexico's Energy Secretariat, CENER, there is a daily discrepancy of 50,000 to 60,000 barrels
Wait, 50 to 60,000 barrels every single day?
every single day. And that costs the Mexican government something like 9.2 to 12 billion US dollars annually.
That is just wild. I mean, that means 30 to 40% of commercialized fuel is illegal.
Uh,
But, okay, let's unpack this logistics-wise. How do you physically hide an entire cargo ship full of diesel from customs?
well, you don't actually hide the ship, you hide what the fuel actually is.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they use this chemical disguise. Basically, smugglers import ultra-low sulfur diesel, but on the official customs paperwork, they just classify it as additives or lubricants.
Because those are taxed differently, right?
Exactly. Those specific categories are entirely exempt from Mexico's special tax on fuel, the IEPS. So a massive cargo ship sails right through the port paying zero taxes.
So it is literally like walking out of a bank vault with bags of cash. But because you wrote monopoly money on the bag, the security guards just like hold the door open for you.
That is a perfect way to put it, actually.
Mhm.
And then once it is inside the country, getting that duty-free diesel into legitimate gas stations takes another whole layer of fraud.
Right, because it's still technically illegal fuel.
Yeah. So they use fake digital invoices called EFOs. Or they bypass the tracking systems altogether by offloading the fuel directly into unmetered trucks.
Wow. Okay, so if almost half the country's fuel is smuggled in, that fuel has to go somewhere. How are legitimate gas stations surviving when the guy across the street is selling, duty-free diesel?
Well, they aren't, honestly. It creates this impossible competitive environment. Since smugglers dodge the taxes, they can sell this disguised fuel at a 15 to 25% discount.
Which is a huge margin in the fuel business.
It really is. Honest business owners who pay their full taxes simply get forced out of the market.
Okay, but here is where it gets really interesting. Playing devil's advocate based on the text. If tax evasion is the root cause here, couldn't we just lower the taxes to kill the black market incentive?
That is the exact debate the essay highlights. Now, to be clear, we are just presenting what the sources say here, not taking a stance on the politics.
Yeah.
But some argue that high taxes are exactly what drives the evasion.
Right, make it less profitable to cheat.
Exactly. But the counterargument is that the profit margins on smuggled fuel are so lucrative that cutting taxes wouldn't actually stop the cartels. They would just adjust their prices to maintain market share.
And meanwhile, the state loses all that critical funding.
Exactly. You would just defund the government without fixing the cartel problem.
Okay, so if cutting taxes isn't a silver bullet, what about regulation? Like, the text mentions Annex 30 causing some controversy.
Yeah, so Annex 30 is this new set of regulations requiring advanced digital tracking of fuel to stop those fake invoices.
Sounds good in theory.
It does, but opponents point out that requiring these advanced tracking systems imposes heavy compliance costs, which really hurts the small business owners the government wants to protect.
Oh, right. The mom and pop stations can't afford the tech.
Exactly. But proponents argue that this digital traceability is literally the only way to save those honest businesses from being permanently undercut by the black market distortion.
So if the digital getaway car is this sophisticated, how do they actually stop it? Just more of this tracking.
Well, the essay proposes a three-pillar fix to close the loopholes. First is molecular traceability from the port right down to the pump.
Molecular, like testing the actual chemistry.
Yes, literally tracking the chemical signature of the fuel so you can't just slap a lubricant label on it.
Hmm.
Second is real-time interoperability. So agencies like Customs, the Tax Authority, and Financial Intelligence need their databases talking to each other instantly.
Right. So A&M, SAT, and UIF need to be on the exact same page.
Exactly. And finally, strict penal sanctions. You need the technology to spot the crime and the legal teeth to punish everyone in the chain of complicity.
Wow. It really shows how sophisticated global trade has become and, how easily a simple label swap defeats traditional security.
It really does. It's a whole new era of smuggling.
Which leaves you with this to think about. If millions of barrels of highly regulated fuel can be so easily, chemically disguised as lubricants to bypass national port security, wait, I mean, bypass all those checks, what other massive global commodities are secretly slipping through international borders, hiding in plain sight?